This is iDesign Lab, a podcast where creativity and curiosity meet style and design. Curator of interiors, furnishings, and lifestyles. Hosted by Tiffany Woolley, an interior designer and a style enthusiast, along with her serial entrepreneur husband, Scott. iDesign Lab is your ultimate design podcast, where we explore the rich and vibrant world of design and its constant evolution in style and trends. iDesign Lab provides industry insight, discussing the latest trends, styles, and everything in between to better help you style your life through advice from trendsetters, designers, influencers, innovators, fabricators, and manufacturers, as well as personal stories that inspire, motivate, and excite. And join us on this elevated, informative, and lively journey into the world of all things design.
Today on the iDesign Lab podcast, we're joined by Monika Zasada, founder of D-Mazing and a true home renovation curator. With a sharp eye for design and decades of experience, Monika helps homeowners navigate the chaos of remodeling with clarity, control, and confidence, bringing thoughtful design and smart planning to every step of the journey.
Welcome to the iDesign Lab podcast. Today we are thrilled to have remotely Monika Zasada, who is the home renovation curator. And we look forward to hearing her story because, as most people know who listen to us, the word curation is one of my favorites, or curate. So welcome, Monika, and tell us how you landed as the home renovation curator.
Well, curating and the word curator happens to be one of my favorite words too, because I think it is indicative of an intentional process.
Oh, I love that.
How I ended in construction is a bit of an oddity, because my life was supposed to be of an academia. I was supposed to teach American literature. I majored in American literature. My master thesis was Transcendentalism and Puritanism revised. And it is very, very, very serendipitous that I ended up in the village of Sag Harbor, where I spent most of my time, where Moby Dick and the whaling industry flourished.
Right. What a collab right there.
It is. So, and I do believe in science. I don't know if you do, but I do.
Of course, everything happens for a reason.
That's right. And having grown in communist Poland, where housing was in tremendous shortage, I grew up in an apartment whose size equals the size perhaps of my client's dining room table. And in communist Poland, we really were not allowed to own anything. Right. And I was always obsessed and very driven by the desire to own my own home. Amazing. Whether it's an apartment or a house. And because, I feel very, very viscerally that home is such an important part of my life. It is my refuge. It is my spa. Sometimes I pretend it's a luxurious hotel.
Right.
It's my kingdom.
Right.
I decided about everything that went into my house, how I went about acquiring it, how I went about, renovating it, and all of that. And having practiced in building industry, which, by the way, I see as a very broken industry, I realized that so many projects that are meant to be joyful and meaningful in our lives, because home is one of the biggest, if not the biggest investment in our lives.
And
because
most important,
the industry is so broken,
couldn't agree more.
It requires curation.
It does.
So before we jump into what you're doing, how did you come from Poland to America and then to Sag Harbor, which is one of our favorite places to go?
Oh, yes, and I can understand why. So after I was invited by my professor who oversaw the master thesis, he invited me to be one of the staff at the University of Poland. I realized how silly it would be for me to be teaching the literature of the country I never visited.
Wow.
And Poland at that time was transitioning from a communist country to free market economy country. And the ticket, whose price was like putting, a deposit on a oceanfront house in the Hamptons, would be unattainable if it weren't for the fact that in the free market economy, it was possible to be well paid for something executed very, very quickly. So I was asked to translate a riveting book from English to Polish titled How to Live with Irritable Bowel Syndrome.
Oh my God.
So
That's
drinking copious amount of coffee, in 2 weeks I managed to translate that riveting book, and I got a lot of money, what in Poland was a lot of money. And then via Vienna with my international student identification card, I was able to purchase a discounted ticket from Vienna to New York.
Wow.
Where I joined my friend who had come here 3 years earlier. And while being here, I realized that my position in Poland, while very prestigious,
Academic there, yes.
academic career, I would need 7 lifetimes to be able to afford an apartment in the university city of Poznań, Poland.
Wow.
So I decided to, how shall we say it? To extend my welcome here and stay until I saved $20,000, because that would have been many years ago what I would need to purchase an apartment in Poland.
Wow.
And in the process of that, I realized that I really love the houses. I really love, I always loved architecture. I was at that time working for a family whose 2 children I was supposed to teach Russian.
Wow.
Coming from Poland, we had no choice but know Russian, and I spoke fluent Russian at the time. And the mother's wish, who had studied Russian, always was for me to teach her sons Russian.
Wow.
This is how I was introduced to, the best apartments in New York City. And this is how I was introduced to Sag Harbor. And I will never forget, I am literally getting goosebumps, remembering the moment when I arrived with the 2 boys and their parents to Sag Harbor. They have their second home here. And it was just a magical moment. We came on a blistering cold March evening, and we were driving by all those homes, and it seemed to me I entered a fairy tale.
What area of New York was that?
That was Sag Harbor.
Yeah. Okay, so Sag Harbor, okay.
Sag Harbor, yes. So this is through the family for whom I was the governess teaching Russian. They introduced me here because we came here on a break, I believe on some spring holiday break. And this is where I saw Sag Harbor for the first time, and I was just like I said, I was like entering a fairy tale. Yes. And then through a and I was always talking about my desire to own a home and such. So a friend of mine introduced me to a general contractor who said that, he was just, he wanted help with building his company. And I was instrumental in transforming his then basement-based outfit into a multi-million-dollar general contracting company as its vice president.
Wow.
And then recognizing, which I touched upon perhaps earlier with you when we were offline, recognizing that the building industry is broken, I realized that my talents, and by then I knew everything that is to know about what is to be known about general contracting. I then also was in the process of renovating this beautiful house.
Beautiful.
I recognized for the need for this niche service of curating.
I love it.
So how long ago was it that you started this, that you got involved in the building?
Construction.
I started working with the general contractor in 97.
So in 97, but you really didn't know a lot about it. So you basically...
I knew zero about it.
You picked
I
it,
was
started diving in and learning.
absolutely so yes, from answering the phone to doing, payroll, to being the project manager and ending up as vice president.
Quite a success story.
All out in the Hamptons.
All out in the Hamptons, indeed. But
you must have
since
seen
then,
so much growth too in that time frame.
yes, I have to tell you, it was quite a bumpy road because, as I'm sure you know, construction industry is a very male-dominated
Very much.
field, right?
Yes.
So here I am. I'm a woman. I have an accent, and by growing and ascending within the company, I was, in a position of power. So I was telling men
What to do?
what I needed. I was telling men, I need your price. You overlooked one room in this house.
Yes.
And they couldn't understand, how dare I?
Question
Again,
them.
a woman with an accent telling them what to do. So it was very interesting, but I loved it. It was, it is through challenges that we learn the most, right?
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
the success is kind of like makes us complacent, but when you are facing challenges, it just makes you better at what you do, and forces you to kind of explain to others the reasoning for what you are expecting or asking for.
So somewhere along the line, you decided, from what I understand, to kind of go out on your own. Am I correct in saying
and
that?
create amazing.
That's correct.
So tell us about what is amazing? Is there a meaning behind the name, or?
Yes. So one of my clients, a female, said to me, Monika, before I engaged you, I felt with my project as if I were in a maze. I would turn left and I would bump my head.
Oh my God, that's
I
a
would
great way to
turn
explain
right.
it.
And I would bump my head. He says, "You are like a Sherpa. You are leading me through the maze. You cracked the code of a maze. You should say, Monika, which you are very amazing, but you are so de-mazing."
Yes.
So I demaze the maze of construction for my clients.
That's fantastic.
So tell us what you do and what your company does and how you help homeowners.
So I am sort of a myth buster in the sense that through practicing in this industry since 1997, I do recognize it's broken. And because it's broken, it is putting the homeowner, my client, in a very dangerous position. So the process itself is broken because how it normally plays out is as follows. The client, if they are smart enough, they recognize they need help of a design professional
team. Yes,
right?
I say that
Yes.
all the time.
So this is building a new home or remodeling a new
no
home.
matter what, either both.
Exactly, Tiffany.
Yes.
No
I agree.
matter what. And here is the first mistake people make. Like most people, recognize that, if I renovate my kitchen, I will add so much value to my house. And the kitchen in most regular home is actually one of the most complex rooms in your home because it involves every single aspect of construction. We will get to it a little later. So the process is, if the client is cognizant enough, they approach a design professional, if it's just a spruce up, all they need as an interior designer. Mm-hmm. If it is a gut renovation, an additional building a new home, you also need an architect.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And because no one or extremely rare people openly talk about money, which absolutely is an
Crazy.
idiotic
Yeah.
state of affairs, right? That no one talks about money. So there is this love affair between a homeowner and a design professional because it's an aspirational process. But of course I want, a separate makeup table. And of course I want Carrie Bradshaw's walk-in closet. And the husband says, and of course I want humidor for my cigars. So they just go out and they design, 10,000 square foot home, right?
Right.
And they have very rudimentary sketches and a few pictures.
Yes.
Then they follow the next myth, which is, wow, the smartest thing for you to do is to go out and do competitive bidding with multiple general contractors.
Yep.
Huge mistake. They have what for them is essentially a, dinner napkin.
Correct. You're not basing it
Wigglies.
on apples to apples. I say it all the time too.
Yeah, so you totally speak my language,
Of
Tiffany.
course. That's why I'm
So of
looking
course, yes,
forward.
as an interior designer, right? And so here it is. So the general contractors know that the most important aspect out of the three aspects of the project, which is budget, quality, and schedule, the clients most care about money.
Yep.
So they take these very rudimentary squigglies on a dinner napkin and they artificially drive the price down as much as possible because they know that the client mostly cares about the bottom line.
Yes.
So here you go. And then another mistake that people make is they engage the least expensive
Yes.
general contractor,
Yeah.
which means that from the very beginning, the financial outlook is completely distorted.
Yeah. Jeez.
And then they proceed, to do the for construction drawings. And the general contractor says, oh, well, I didn't know you wanted upper cabinets in your kitchen because there was no dotted line on your floor plans, right? I don't
Right.
want to get too technical.
Right.
And here is how the whole horror story begins.
Yes.
Everybody ends up being, at best in this position when they are always defensive, or at worst, it ends up in court.
That's so true. And like what
So
what you were saying at the very beginning, like this process should be a great process of something that you look forward to, that you enjoy, that sparks excitement and, curiosity and creativity, turns into a horror story. And I love what you're saying. So continue. Sorry about that.
Very much so. So why I decided not to be the general contractor anymore is because I was tired to be perceived as this very necessary, but very dirty tool, that is like the buzz killer after this honeymoon of, the client being with the design professional. Here comes the general
Buzzkill.
contractor, and it's just someone who wants to rip you off. And I wanted to create a project and bring everybody to the project in a very collaborative way,
Yes.
because construction itself is so challenging that the people and their interaction and the process should be nothing but pleasurable. So I am, for instance, speaking to the matters I touched upon, I am very much against competitive bidding. I am very much for, well, first of all, getting to know my client very well, and also shepherding the client through the process of what I perceive as their responsibility, which is for them to know and be very cognizant as to what design they really like. And that takes time.
It does.
As well as the program of the house. So one of my favorite examples of how you can be very mistaken as it is what you think you want is a mother of two children wanting to have, again, Carrie Bradshaw beautiful foyer that sports a huge vase of flowers,
Right.
with nothing. It totally doesn't translate into how a busy mother of two children with a dog, where she needs to have a place where to park the strollers. She needs to have
drop
pegs
zone,
to
yes.
hang the slimy dog leashes, right? And So no, Carrie Bradshaw, beautiful, foyer with a vase of flowers is not what this client needs. So
Right.
first is this shepherding of the process so that the client knows what they want, right?
Right.
And then engaging an appropriate design professional, because I have clients who have very well developed design proclivities, and I just know that they would not work very well with a design professional who has a very specific brand.
Yes.
So then I introduce them to someone who perhaps is just starting out and who is very
Eager.
open and
Yes.
willing and eager, yes, to discover what it is that the client wants and deliver that accordingly. I also want for the client to choose and engage a design professional or design professionals. So it is always an architect. And if an architectural firm doesn't provide interior design services, such as, selection of finishes, tile, grout colors, then an interior designer is also needed to be added to the team. And at the same time,
I agree.
I actually encourage the client to engage general contractor, having gone through a very intentional vetting process, to have the constant input from the general contractor as to what everything will cost while it's being designed.
I agree.
So you agree, Tiffany, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to chime in on that, sometimes, through my growth in the industry, you get called, once they've met with the contractor, once they've designed this house, and nobody's, really thought it through. Like you said, a young mother with a vase in the foyer, like nobody really thinks the lifestyle part through, like a designer or an interior designer. And nobody really thinks of the layout of the furniture planning and, just uses of space until it's too late and they're knee deep into it. I couldn't agree and support what you're saying more, that the design team needs to be as first and foremost.
Absolutely. Nothing exists in a vacuum, right?
Yep.
It's a very organic, happening at the same time process.
Yep. So, I even tell clients, like when it is a renovation project, when they call me, they're like, I don't know if we need to bring you in yet. We're just, getting I said, I'm really the first person you should be coming to. Let's design this house. We can get the architect involved. I know if it's a historic house, I would use this architect. If it's a, this kind of house, we would use this architect. But at the end of the day, let's design this house before we go get a builder.
Yeah, Tiffany is very much about the contractor, bring them in last. And then she's also of the same mindset with the fact of getting multiple bids. Let's find the right contractor that fits this project as well.
So you see, I totally agree with Tiffany, right? You need a support of a design professional so that they can think of an overall shape and program of your home that supports your lifestyle, right? So busy mother of 2 children, no huge vase of flowers that can topple and harm your children, right? And then at the same time to choose a general contractor, but not, Scott, as a process of competitive bidding, but rather a very intentional vetting process.
Correct.
With you having been very open about your budget.
Very.
So if your budget, let's just say, and again, my blueprint of this curating of a project is applicable to, to a from kitchen renovation to an island development project, because this is the span of how my services have come to play. It is through this intentional vetting process that you choose the contractor, saying, if your budget is $100,000, then you tell your team your budget is $75,000, okay, and you ask your team, both an interior designer / architect and your contractor, to design a house that fits within your budget.
Right.
So again, it's a very collaborative process. And the general contractor, once he's engaged and completely committed to your project, not artificially driving the prices down, on your behalf is going to competitively bid every aspect for your project. They will bid your electrical scope of work with 3 electricians. They will bid your plumbing scope of work with 3 plumbers.
Right.
That's where
right.
competitive
That's where the
bidding comes to
I agree.
play
Yes.
and makes sense.
Very,
So,
very
so
well informed.
question for you. My question that I wanted to ask you is that the biggest thing that I see or that we've seen, I'm wondering how you overcome this, is that you're talking about budget. A lot of clients don't want to express or tell us or tell their designer what their budget is because they feel as though if I tell the budget, they're going to spend every nickel and dime of that. Do you run across that? Because it's something that we've talked about on this podcast, how important it is
To be
for a
honest
client
with
to
what
be
you're
open and
comfortable
honest with either your decorator or designer so they really can work within the restraints of what the budget is. But have you run across this? I'm guessing you have.
All the time, but I also know, having practiced, right? And so I consult literally all over the world, right? And,
Right.
and the curatorship from the A to Z, and from the A is from this aha moment for an idea of a project in a client's mind to the housewarming party.
Right.
I very much know here. I very much know the prices. I know what things cost. So if
Right.
my client tells me in the Hamptons,
That's a huge benefit to know that you do understand the costs.
and again, because you see, I bring very unique perspective.
Yes.
I used to be a general contractor.
Yes.
I was my own client as a homeowner,
Right.
and I had to actually talk sense to myself, because I got on a tangent, right? I want handmade tile, but I had to face the reality of the fact that the main focus of my project was the budget.
Right.
And one of the myths is you cannot have it all. You cannot have budget and quality and schedule. Because budget was my organizing component and it had to be my focus, I myself quickly realized that my aspirations are too ambitious. No, I cannot have handmade tile where one piece costs more than 3 feet of some other tile that I
Yes.
could find. But
Yes.
I course corrected. I took more time, because if the budget is your focus, you need to understand that you need to spend more time dedicating yourself to your project. So I waited for going out of business sales and clearances, and I went to antique shows and I just pre-bought certain items at a very discounted
Wow.
price, because I did want quality. So I led with the budget. I understood it will take much more time.
Yep.
And I insisted on quality. So also I decided not to add to my house. Rather,
Right.
I stayed within the footprint of my house, but I added the second floor.
Right.
So these were all decisions. But again, I had been, by that time, I had been in the industry for years. And yet I had
you
to
still got
myself
here. Yes.
talk myself out of the nonsense that I was, going towards. So can you imagine a regular homeowner who has never done
No.
that, hasn't been, and what do we see? We see, 48-hour extreme
Home makeovers, I know.
makeovers. And we think we can ourselves demolish our kitchen on a lunch break and then have a complete redo of the kitchen for $5,000.
I know, it's such
How
a
ridiculous is
misguided
that?
vision, isn't it? And that's what's the mainstream. Everybody thinks it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't cost, X, Y, or Z. They think it's, they've got these preconceived notions in their head on time and money.
Very much so. So yes, of course, the clients always fight me about the money. But I ask, okay, how big of a house do you want, right? And then I can immediately say, your house is going to be the minimum of this per square foot and the maximum you decide on.
Yes.
And I am always right.
Yeah.
So
Feels
yes,
good.
it is a fight. It is a fight. And of course, I always tell client, listen, you can either choose to let me do my job based on a quarter of a century of my practice in this industry, or we can go your way, but then I take no responsibility for the horror story that I assure you will unfold.
Right.
So you're
And then you will,
you're being hired by your clients, and you're assisting them in bringing the team together, bringing the interior designer, the architect, the contractor, and then are you kind of staying through the project till the end, making sure all parties?
Are you considered like an owner's rep, would you say? Or
yes. So generically speaking, I am the closest to the owner's rep, but usually the owner's rep, again, in my practice, are hired at the start of construction when it is already too late and the horror story is way on its way. So I insist on being from this aha moment
yes.
Right.
when the first idea, just lodges itself in client's mind. So yes, Scott, very much. I am staying from the A to the housewarming party. I make everyone accountable for their share, or because everybody has a very specific job, and I boss everyone around in the process.
So you explained your process on how that team comes together. What does it look like once you're well underway in construction? What is your day-to-day with involvement, since you have many projects? What's your team look like, and how does that time frame evolve?
So always I insist on weekly meetings, and because I am the ultimate overseer, right? All the communication goes through me. So I am CC'd on all the emails, but then again, everybody knows their role, right? So I oversee it. And then we all have weekly meetings. The entire team has weekly meetings when we are saying, are we on track?
Right.
What decisions must be made now in a very timely manner if we are to meet our milestones and ultimately complete the house at an agreed upon date.
Right.
I also oversee all requisitions of payments. I help client negotiate contracts with both interior designer and an architect and a general contractor.
Wow. Yep.
Again, the insanity of our industry is that an architect signs the contract with the client
Yes.
with very specific things that he's supposed to do, or
Yes.
she. I have worked mostly with men
Yep.
in all
Architecture.
in all these architecture, yes. And then the contractor is signing a separate contract without knowing what the client agreed with
Yes.
with the architect,
Agreed.
even though it is completely
They're all overlapping. It happens with
Overlapping.
the design too. We get projects where they've already got their builder and he's doing the kitchen. I'm like, what do you mean he's doing the kitchen? I'm like, who's going to every meeting? Who's designing the kitchen? Who's picking the slabs? Who's picking the plumbing? You're installing those items. For me, I always have a hard time understanding why the builder is so involved with kitchens and bathrooms.
Well, I think it's because people don't know better.
know.
They think a builder builds and a
don't know
builder will do all
better.
that.
Very much so. And again, here is an interesting, because also, who is providing what is also very blurry.
Very blurry.
Why again, because I was a contractor, so I know the pain and misery of being a contractor, right? I also champion and want a very clear understanding of what it is that each of the team member provides. So Why the contractor is involved in the kitchen, it is again, and here is also something on which I absolutely insist. So I do insist on the client revealing their budget. And then I insist on the general contractor being engaged not through stipulated sum contract, but cost plus contract, because the latter gives complete financial transparency. The contractor, when they prepare their invoice, need to present to the client every single copy of every single bill,
Right.
whether it's a screw for 57 cents or whether it is appliance for $45,000.
Yes.
So the client sees everything. And because I oversee and manage the budget, every month the contractor has to update the budget to reflect the current phase of the project. And for instance, if the tile was X and we see that the client, exceeded the budget for the tile, it is timely to then say, well, perhaps you won't be able to have the special high gloss paint
Right.
to recuperate some money.
Right.
Or if the client says, I still want high gloss paint and I understand it will cost me X,
Then-
the budget remains an open book.
Right.
It's not that someone wakes up 6 months later
And it's like, how did we get here?
how did we get here, and let's go
Yes.
to court. I'm
Right.
suing you and I'm suing you. And this
Yes.
country is also so litigious.
Litigious.
It's also
That had to be a
ridiculous.
quite eye-opening thing as you moved over here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so true. It is so true. So what are a few things that, in your experience are where things go off the rails? I know we just mentioned one, but where do you think is a biggie that from your experience?
Well, I think that the problem, while the industry is a broken industry, so you kind of have this problem, and the double whammy is the client, right? Not being cognizant of the process and how much time things take.
Yes.
The other myth or mistake is thinking that you can have it all, budget,
Yes.
quality, and the third one is that you can do things yourself.
That's one we tend to fight a lot, is the
Yes.
do it yourself.
But
I mean, go on, Scott.
yes, but at the end of the day, someone hiring like yourself, maybe they'll spend a little bit more, but at the end of the day, they're actually going to save a lot more,
money.
and their project is going to be so much smoother, with less headache, less aggravation, and most likely a lot of cost savings and less mistakes.
Very much so. And in fact, my project that I finished before this summer season, the client, I explained to him how I work, and he thought it was ridiculous amount of money to engage me in a pre-construction.
Right.
And I said, well, of course, I can't really, force your hand. So if you want to lead the whole pre-construction process, by all means. And then he said, but Monika, I will definitely engage you in construction. So the whole process was botched. The wrong contractor was chosen. And here I am coming into a huge crisis, right?
Yep.
So this client wrote me the best possible,
He's going to say he
testimonial.
wrote your business plan, basically, right? I mean,
Yeah. He said, do not make the stupidest mistake in your project, which is not engaging Monika from the moment you have an idea for your project.
I couldn't
So
agree and
it's-
support more. I feel like one of the reasons I wanted to start this podcast, and this industry, I say it a lot, still has so much growth and untapped resources, at our fingertips coming up all the time. How do you, set the tone to really let this service be out there? People know that this is of value.
So most of my curatorship project, and again, it's, yes, my service is by many people, again, who don't really know what I
Your
provide
value,
or what
yes.
value I bring, because there is so much misinformation
Right,
about this, right? I
right.
mean, you are experiencing it.
For sure.
I am experiencing it for a quarter of the century. So the industry is broken. The client is totally unaware
Yes.
of the process, right? So my curatorship projects are essentially word of mouth. One client from the next.
Yes.
Or it is a designer. So recently I was invited to a crazy project in Montauk, where the designer who had worked with me on 2 other projects said, Monika, I beg you, I cannot do this project without you. And
Right.
we got
I love
renovated
that.
a villa in 9 weeks.
Wow.
With totally custom things. I mean, we had tile handmade, especially for this bathroom, with 17 tile, to be curved in the where the ceiling meets the wall, and 10, diamond shaped black tiles, and the special. It was insane.
Right.
But again, this was my everyone was so happy that I was part of the process, even though originally people thought, what is Monika here for? I mean, we have a general contractor, we have we have an architect. What is Monika here for? And then everybody ended up totally understanding with the first meeting, because I insisted on those weekly meetings.
Do you know what that decorator saw that she realized she needed to reach out to you? Did she experience something or see something that alarmed her, that made her reach out to you right away?
It was a he, and it was someone with whom I had worked on 2 other projects. So they knew how I work, and how I am absolutely indispensable, especially in the project of that magnitude, with this intensity of schedule,
Right.
with the insistence on the quality. So while my services, right, would not make economical sense in a kitchen renovation of the budget of 75,000, right?
Yeah.
This is what propelled me to create another way of working with me. So that is a free masterclass, which is, I believe, 52 minutes to be exact. And then I am inviting students to a 4-week online course, which is currently offered at a special price of $497. So for 4 weeks, we have weekly Zoom calls, and people have direct access to me. And then they have access to the materials, educational materials, for a lifetime. It never expires.
So what are you teaching in this class?
Yeah, and is this your course, Nailed It?
Yes, it's my course, Nail It, and I essentially share my entire blueprint of how the process unfolds, what the homeowner must know before they even approach an interior designer, what they need to know so that it is productive, and the interior designer then can go and productively provide value for the client. How to vet trustworthy contractor. I give the entire breakdown of the cost, which also some people in the industry have no idea that
true.
there are 16 construction costs, and there can be 15 subcategories of these 16 categories. I mean, I have projects that have 312 cost line items.
Right.
How many?
So I share.
How many classes are in?
It's
Or how many
once a
sessions?
week.
Once a week is an hour or 2 hours, or?
So how it works, Scott, is I divided this nail course in 4 weeks so that they are reflective of 4 phases of each project,
Makes
which
sense.
is design, pre-construction, construction, and closeout. Most people think that in construction process there is one phase, which is construction.
Right.
There are 4 phases to your project.
That's so true.
And then the weekly calls are an hour when the students can come with questions, and then it is up to them how much time they need to digest the material. But I give them like it's a blueprint. It's from A to B to C to D, and I explain it in a very conversational, storytelling manner, because I understand I am not teaching the homeowner to become a tile installer or to become a contractor or to become an interior designer. I am teaching them how to be an educated, empowered homeowner so that they can engage those professionals for their project to be, not to be a horror story.
So what type of people are signing up and taking the course? Is it people in the industry, interior decorators, contractors, homeowners? What does the typical student look like?
So interestingly enough, I taught interior designers who, well, they wanted to, because they were intrigued with the title. Who took my course was also real estate agent.
Okay.
Who also didn't. He said, Monika, I had no idea.
Yeah, nobody
because
does.
you see, real estate agents, which also is the part of the problem, right, with the broken industry and the clients who are not educated and aware enough of the process, it's the problem oftentimes starts with a real estate agent who, understandably wanting to make a sale, right, while seeing the floor that's like that and seeing pocket doors that don't close, is trying to tell the client, oh, all you need to do is, send the floors and it will be fine.
It's so true.
cosmetic.
They think they have so much information on this part too.
How does a person who's listening find you to take the course if they're interested?
So you can go on my website, de-mazing.com, demazing.com, and there are 4 ways of how you can get in touch with me. There is an invitation to the free masterclass if you feel you want to, get to know me better. There is an invitation to a 15-minute free tool-up chat, because all I need really is 15 minutes of asking very pointed question to anybody who is minded to do a course, to really know how I can be of better value, of best value, whether
Right.
it is for them to take my course or whether it is for them to engage me as their curator.
And then there's the cost, the course itself, correct?
And then there is the course itself. Yes. So
when
if
is
you
the next?
sign up,
When does the next course start, or does it start at the beginning of every
it's
month?
an evergreen.
Evergreen.
It's an evergreen. So it's a constant rotation.
It's a loop.
Okay.
It's a loop. Yes.
I need to take it.
So it is
I
very
know.
convenient, really.
Scott,
I'm gonna take
I
it.
think we all need to take it.
Well, you've been doing
I
this
do.
for
It
20
would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'll
Absolutely.
see you next Tuesday. I'll see you next Tuesday on our Meet Nicole.
Yeah.
No, I do think it's just because we do, this podcast and we add some little tidbits that we try to keep, like these types of little hints of information that we've learned to give people feedback. Because as you say, the industry's broken. I agree. And it's so untapped. Like, interior designers had a bad rap that it's just too expensive and nobody can afford it. And, you can do it yourself. And, you get called in, like you said, at the horror story, at the horror
Yes.
time, where they're already money well spent in a bad way. And it's so much about just education to just your next door neighbor, or a friend that really, who, if you're taking on this journey in your life, you need help and you need support, and it has a timeline.
Absolutely. And it all starts with the homeowner, right?
Yep.
If the homeowner doesn't know about the complexity, they will fight you, every step of the way. And like you say, right, you enter into a horror story. Everybody is just, hating everything. Everybody is distrustful of the other, of the other partner, and it's such a pity. Because do you want to in your if you survive it, right? If you survive it, once you survive it, you are so broken and bruised, and then every corner you look, oh, here I had a fight with my plumber, and in the kitchen I was screaming at my contractor. Are you out of your mind? How did this come to be? I thought it was X, and it was Y.
I know, and we opened the podcast with a hint of that, and I always tell clients when they come in and I'm starting, I'm like, this is so much fun, because I do this because I love it. I love the relationship. I love the curation of the project and the evolution. I love the camaraderie of the team, of the site visits. It really should be such a joyful experience. You're creating something so monumental for families, for people. And yet, like you said, the industry's broken because it's consumed with horror stories and legal fees.
Totally. And it would be so much better if the money was spent on something beautiful, right?
Yes.
So I like to say to my prospective clients that, listen, most likely you will end up, with a horror story of your hands. I am promising you a good action movie. It will not be perfect. It will not be perfect. There will be glitches.
Life is not, but it will be
even with
worth
the
it.
best intentions, there will be misunderstandings. But if you have a team where all members like one another, trust one another,
Trust is huge.
understand their respective responsibilities, right?
Yes.
We are just going to handle it. It will be like a great action movie.
I
Sometimes
love
it will
that.
be a cliffhanger. Sometimes we will have a tea party. So
you have a lot of projects, and you're helping a lot of homeowners in the States, but you're also doing a lot of projects outside of the United States. Is the process
yes, so
is the
those
process or
projects-
anything different when you're doing it outside of the United States?
So again, my process and blueprint and the division of the phases, the responsibilities are the same.
I was going to say.
The only thing that's different is the building codes.
Mm-hmm.
But then no worries, because your general contractor will take care of that.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So that's the only difference. And sometimes the building methods, but again, no worries. The architect of a specific geographical region is going to know about those. So the process is always the same. The process as I outlined it is always the same.
What's the number one piece of advice that you would give a homeowner who's about to build a house or remodel?
Educate yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, take the Nail It course.
Take the Nail It course, yes. Yes, shamelessly, I'll tell you, take the Nail It course.
That's a perfect way to wrap it up, because I really have so appreciate your value, and I want to be a huge part of being able to explain what Nail It can be for so many people who necessarily don't think their budget would allow for, you yourself, but to know that your expertise is at
You would have been
disposal.
a perfect piece. Tiffany had a project a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4, in Bridgehampton, and it was a nice big house. You would have been, because we're in Florida, and Tiffany wasn't traveling that much there, but that particular client could have really used your help.
Well, I look forward to that in the future, though. A
Yes.
future
Yes,
opportunity
let's do
to
some projects
collaborate,
together.
right?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. What a wealth of information that you brought to us today, and I'm so grateful for it.
Continue with your success.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being a guest, and again, I am very passionate about, spreading the word and,
Yes.
and making this industry better, so that it is just, it's a joy. It's
It
a joy
is.
to create your home.
It really is, and I couldn't agree with you more.
And I'll be coming on as a student in the next couple of weeks. We're traveling a little, but I'll be joining and learning.
Let me know, because Mercedes made me aware yesterday that some links on my website don't work.
Okay.
I am yet to hear from my VA, so let me know, and then I'll just send you, a separate link, because I was taking a little break this summer.
Okay.
But let me know when you are ready, and we will make it happen.
Sounds good. Thank you for joining us
so
today.
much,
Fantastic.
Monika.
Thank you. You're welcome, and thank you again for having me as your guest.
Absolutely.
It was really fun.
Thank you all for listening to iDesign.
iDesign Labs podcast is an SW Group production in association with the 5-Star and TW Interiors. To learn more about iDesign Lab or TW Interiors, please visit twinteriors.com.